Drew McIntyre, thank you very much for joining us on Sky Sports. It's always a pleasure. But what a ridiculously exciting time to be speaking to you, because you're coming to Cardiff. It's the pay-per-view is coming. It's everything you've been wanting for ages. How do you feel?
I don't even feel like it's real yet. This is something that I've dreamt about for years, that I've actively been talking about for the past 2 years, especially since I won the WWE Championship, became the first British WWE champion ever. I started trying to wield that power of we're going to get a big show in the UK, a stadium show in the UK. And it's just been announced, it's official, it's happening in the Principality Stadium, September 3rd in Cardiff. The tickets are on pre-sale right now. You can pre-register online. And I heard last week the numbers were over 50,000 people who pre-registered within 24 hours. I can tell you now, those numbers are pretty much doubled. So you might want to get on that pre-registering site, because when the tickets get released, they're going to go like that. And hearing that feels good. It's kind of justification of when I told the company, if we do a show there, trust me, it's going to be huge. It's going to sell out. The fans are wild back home. It'll be the biggest show ever. It'll make WrestleMania look second best. It'll be the second best show that year. Usually Mania's top of the card, but this show will be number one. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I hope this comes off. And just to see the way the audience responded back home and all across the world, it's not just the UK lapping up these tickets and registering for these tickets. It's all across the world. This event is going to be freaking massive.
Talk to me how it feels personally, though, because obviously, look, we've discussed it for a long, long time. It's something you personally wanted. You wanted to bring WWE back to the UK on a huge scale. How does it feel for you to actually finally get this over the line?
Awesome. This is right up there with winning the WWE Championship. Above personal achievements. That's what I dreamt about when I was a kid, was raising that title, being WWE champion. But in the position I'm in now, it's like, okay, what can I do that's huge? It's not just for me, but it's for everybody back home that can really make a difference. And for the kids that are in my position growing up, and the adults who are such big WWE fans watching across the world, like, wow, look at those big events. But, that's an America thing. I'll have to fly to America if I want to go to a big event, like a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania or a Survivor Series or a Royal Rumble. Now it's in our backyard. I've been telling the world just how crazy and passionate our fans are, how loud it's going to be if we have a show there with the Principality, how big it is. It holds like 75,000 people. It's got a roof. Noise travels up the way in stadiums. So sometimes if you don't have a roof, it kind of escapes out the top. The noise is going to be trapped in there. And I anticipate this will be the loudest show of all time.
It's nice. I was going to ask you whether you want the roof open or closed, because obviously I don't think people across, on your side of the pond probably realize just how noisy, how atmospheric the Principality is, for the big rugby matches, for big football matches. Do you think, your fellow superstars are ready for what's going to hit them when they walk out in Cardiff?
I think they are, because they've done, shows in the UK before, and we have, a UK tour coming up. It's like next week. I think the 28th and 29th April, we're in Newcastle and London back to back. So they're excited. They're talking about going back to the UK. They know how passionate the fans are. They know how loud the fans are. We tape television there sometimes, and fans across the world are like, wow, why are the fans so wild in the UK? And I try to explain to them, like, just watch a soccer match, watch a football match with the fans back home. It's what we do. The adults have a few drinks. We go there, we have a good time, we get loud, we get rowdy. Now amplify that by 10, maybe even 20, just because of how excited everybody is for this show. Like, nobody's ready. I'm going to tell every one of them, before you walk out there, take a few deep breaths, and don't hold your breath when you walk out there, because you might just pass out when you're like, feel that crowd coming right down on you. This past WrestleMania, AT&T Stadium, we had like 80,000 people there. And it's the biggest crowd I've seen in a few years, just with the times we've been living in. And when I walked out there, I had to remind myself, breathe, because when I heard the roar of the crowd there, and they have the roof on the top too, I was almost blown away. The adrenaline would get the best of me. I actually get black spots in front of my eyes. I almost passed out just with the adrenaline surge. So I'll be reminding everybody, please breathe, or all superstars are going to pass out in their entrance with the adrenaline they'll get from the crowd.
When we think about sort of huge British events in wrestling, obviously 92, SummerSlam, Wembley, that's what comes to mind for most. And it was a huge moment for British wrestling. Does that add a little bit of pressure to this event, knowing what that event did 30 years ago and knowing what it could do if it all goes well come September?
No pressure. I'm just excited we'll finally have the event literally 30 years later. 30 years too late as far as I'm concerned, but it's happening, so I'm not going to complain. I know the standard of our superstars now, how good they are in between the ropes, the male and the female superstars. I know how good that show is going to be, and the difference between now in '92 is the evolution of the spectacle of WWE. You can watch any of our events. Like I always keep mentioning WrestleMania because that's the big one. It's got all the crazy firework display, all the wild entrances some of the superstars have, like over the our entrances already over the top. I come up with a big sword that shoots fire, but we amplify those entrances for those big events, and that's what we're going to get. In Cardiff is that big spectacle WrestleMania feel. And if you watch SummerSlam '92, it's amazing to see the crowd, etc. But the whole vibe of everything about this event is going to be huge, over the top, and spectacle is the best word I can use.
I love it. So you're guaranteeing, you're bringing the pyro, you're bringing the grand entrances, you're bringing the over the top sort of, celebratory feel, I presume.
100%. It's not going to be a big WWE event without all that pyro. That's the next thing I'll be jabbing them with. Is like, hey, I'm making promises here. You better not break my word. But no, I know like how big and excited the management, the superstars, everybody in Cardiff are for this event. Like I've never seen so much excitement for an event. I've never seen so many people register for tickets in advance. I believe actually this is like the most registered event of all time, including WrestleManias. Like the buzz for this event is like no other event in WWE history.
So that's the event. Now talk to me about your role in this huge, huge event, because obviously who do you want to line up against? Where do you see your own sort of match on the bill?
I mean, if I got to pick anything on the show, if I'm making the matches on the show, then Drew McIntyre, the first ever WWE champion, the guy who was two-time WWE champion with no fans in attendance, the only person in history who's held the WWE Championship for 300 days, but not raised it in front of one single fan, would probably want to fight for the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship on home soil and raise that title for the first time in front of fans, but not only fans, my home fans, and 75,000 of my home fans. So that'd be the dream. That'd be what I would book if I was in charge. Aside that, as long as I'm on the show, then I'll be happy.
I mean, yeah, we all saw WrestleMania as well, as you mentioned earlier. It was a fun match. It was an intense match against Baron Corbin. The build was a lot of fun as well. How have you been enjoying what you're up to for the last few months?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel grateful that I was able to be part of the past few months and be on WrestleMania. If you saw the start of the year, we had an injury thing where I was taken out by Corbin and his former sidekick Madcap Moss, where they did a neck injury bit on television. But realistically, I did have an injury going on. A doctor did tell me we're gonna have to see how severe this is. Probably not going to make the Royal Rumble, which was our big event a few weeks later after I, was diagnosed with the injury, and certainly not, WrestleMania. We'll look at that and we'll see how bad this injury is. But as the week passed, I was kind of writing off Royal Rumble, hoping for WrestleMania. As a couple of weeks passed, the doctor started saying, this might not be quite what we think it is. Also, you're an absolute machine. I was in rehab, just nailing it 2 times a day, 6 days a week, and just convinced I was not only going to make WrestleMania, but Royal Rumble a few weeks later. And sure enough, the doctors cleared me pretty much the day prior to Royal Rumble, and I was able to be there for the build up to WrestleMania, our most exciting time of the year, aside this year, build up to Cardiff with the most exciting. And being on WrestleMania, I just feel grateful I was able to be part of it. The crowd were so electric for my match. I beat Corbin, the guy who took me out on television that I've been feuding with for 6 months. And at the end of the match, I finally used the sword. Everyone was like, it was a cool little prop. He used this for his entrance, but it's not real. And then after the match, I sliced the top rope and the middle rope, which the ring crew were not very happy about at all. Like, let's just say if they thought the top rope was going to get sliced, they were ready for that. They weren't ready for a middle rope to get sliced and the bottom rope to get sliced almost in half. But that sword is very real. So when I come to the crowd, like I do, and I did after that match, do my pose and I fire up, please stop grabbing the sword. You're going to lose a finger. I think I've proved now that it's real. So stop grabbing at the sword when I'm close to you.
I mean, you talk about the sword. A, how do you get it through customs? And B, of course a sword prop went kind of wrong. It's a sword. Of course it's dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh no, it's just the prop. They've blunted it. It's made of rubber. I heard some people say. And they're like, it's not, but okay, how do we prove this? And I had the idea of a big moment at WrestleMania. In WWE, we're all about the big moments, especially on our big events. And I'd suggested, hey, any chance I can cut that rope? We don't know if it's possible. So if I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit, let you a little bit backstage. If I tried that a few times with the rope, let's say it worked about 30% of the time, and either Drew McIntyre was going to look very cool in that moment or embarrass himself in front of the world, but I was willing to take that chance, and thank God those ropes cut. and hopefully showed everybody, don't grab the sword. It's a freaking sword. It's not made of rubber.
You talked about the injury. How are you? Is it all cleared up now? And how scary was it, considering, as you said, it's such a big year for you, obviously, with the build up, not just to Mania that's just been and gone, but also with what's coming up in September?
Yeah, it was very scary, especially initially. Thinking the neck was the problem. I'd had something that was going on for a little while. It wasn't easing up. We had some tests done, and there was a worry that it was something in particular related to my neck, and that's what scared me the most. Was you only get one neck. It's not that you can just get a quick surgery, quick rehab, and get the neck back to 100% like every other body part. And once that starts wearing down, you've only got so much time. I guess you're on borrowed time once you get significant neck injuries. So I was concerned for a good few weeks until I was at the physical therapy, working with the doctors. Great doctors, they recommended me to, and we realized it was more related to another area that wasn't my neck specifically, and feel very, very fortunate for that. And it's something we've been able to manage at the time to make sure it was okay. And now I don't even feel like I still actually go to rehab every single week, once, twice a week, and do the exercises that I learned in my own time and keep on top of it myself, just to strengthen everything up, be on top of it, ensure that it's not going to happen again. And the old neck is not going to have any issues anytime soon.
Always a pleasure speaking to you. Good luck for the next few months building into what will be a magnificent night in Cardiff.
No, thank you for having me, buddy. I'm so excited for this show. So excited to be getting back to the UK at the end of the month, and hopefully we can do this in person soon enough.